What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the 2024 Ford F-150 STX. This one's finished in Oxford white. MSRP is around $52,000. Big shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this new truck for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. So the STX is more of a basic truck, however, it comes standard with a 12-inch screen, digital gauge cluster, and kind of a nice appearance package. So it's a pretty cool option to not go too crazy in price. Obviously it's not cheap, but you get quite a lot for the money. Underneath the hood of the 2024 F-150 STX, you're going to find the 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6. This pumps out 325 horsepower with 400 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission. This truck runs on a 36-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at 18 miles per gallon in the city with 24 out on the highway. Also does have a four-wheel drive transfer case. Curb weight is around 4,900 pounds. Max towing capacity is 7,500 pounds, and payload is around 1,600. Overall length is 232 inches with a wheelbase at 145.4. Height is 77.1, and width is 79.9 inches. For some off-road capabilities, approach angle is 25.9 degrees, ground clearance is 9.8 inches, and departure angle is 24.9 degrees. Moving on to the exterior styling, with the 2024 F-150 has a really nice look, especially the new grille. You got a cool set of LED headlights with a really dark housing. You got the amber light right in the center. Then a pretty cool material for the mesh. You got this nice textured black plastic, large Ford badge with white script, and you can also see the active grille shutters behind that. We got a body colored front bumper with LED fog lights down below. Pretty large air dam down here as well. You have your metal tow hooks, and then another opening to provide cooling to the radiators and intercooler. And overall, it's a pretty sporty looking truck. Has a lot of road presence, really nice and muscular front end. You have some sharp lines throughout the hood, making it look like a Ford truck, so they definitely have kept a lot of the design similar. So overall, can't complain. At the side, you can see some nice body lines for the front fender surrounding the wheel arch, and then a really nice looking set of two-tone wheels. You got this multi-spoke design, and then the F-150 STX badge. You have some lime green color on it, which is a really cool touch to see, finished with some more plastic trim. Then we just have black plastic for the mirrors, plastic trim surrounding all the windows, and then plastic for the door handles. You can see some nice sharp lines in the lower portion of the doors, and being the full-size cab, you have a really good proportional side profile. You have the shorter 5.5 foot bed as well, so it gives it a pretty good side profile. Similar sharp lines for the rear fenders, and then your 4x4 badge. Got a nice set of red LED taillights, matching very well into the bodywork, and then some sharp body lines throughout the tailgate. Backup cameras up here, Ford logo, F-150 stamped into it, and then all of your parking sensors in the body colored metal bumper. Exhaust tip is over on the one side, and then all of your trailer hitch connections are right in the center. Overall, it's got a good look to it. Looks like a tough truck with some nice sharp lines. Moving on to the key fob, we get lock, unlock, Ford logo on one side, and you can press this button and the physical key will pop outwards. But go ahead and unlock the truck and just grab the door handle, open it up. We have a black interior with more of that lime green accent, which is a really neat touch to see. On the door panel, finished off in black, you have this cool textured plastic, some padding for your armrest, and then your release handle, window controls along with mirror controls, lock and unlock, part of the speaker system, a little bit extra storage, and then storage all down below. All manual controls for the seats. You can get Ford logo written on it. And then for the fabric, you have this cool stitching, a nice pattern for the front part. Very simple in here, of course, but nonetheless, they do the job. You also have a rubber wrapped steering wheel finished off in all black with your badge right in the center. And then now inside the F-150 STX, going ahead and taking the key, we can insert it into the ignition and fire it up. All the screens are going to turn on. Nice animations to everything. On the steering wheel itself, you have controls over on this left side for cruise control, audio, and Bluetooth. And then we have a few more of those controls with a menu icon on the right side. Taking a look at the digital display, you can see your tach as well as your speedometer. If we play with some of these buttons, you can see our main menu. You can scroll down and see trip. You can go into gauges, see a few different measurements that will pop up, which is a nice touch. Scrolling back, you can go through a few more things. You have the off-road, you're able to see more gauges, and then scrolling up and down. There's quite a lot of different items that are going to pop up in the screen, which is a cool touch to see, of course. You can continue down into towing information, a few more other things, status, nav, phone, and even more. So you get quite a lot in here without being overcomplicated. Driver's assistance will pop up on here as well. You can relax the view, trip information, pretty much everything you would need. So nice and simple, looks good as well. We have our drive mode select down here along with the 4 high and 4 low. If you go ahead and toggle this icon, you have your different drive modes. So we can go into normal. You got a really cool animation for all the different drive modes, which is a great touch. So pretty cool. This is a pretty capable vehicle, especially with all sorts of different drive modes. Gear selectors on the right. We have a manual mode, plus and minus as well. If I go ahead and put it into reverse, we got our large backup camera with all of your parking sensors. Really nice design for everything. You can go into this, get a little bit different of a view as well. And going back into park. Stock on the left side for all the windshield wipers. And then down below, we have all of our headlight controls, interior dimming, electronic park and brake, one of your air vents, and then some black material across the dash. We have some storage up on top, more storage on this right side with F-150 written into it, traction control, a shortcut to the camera system, hazards, and your start stop. Taking a look at the actual screen now, this is Ford's newest design. You have two setups right now. On this right side, you can actually easily scroll up and down and see a few different things that will pop up. And then some of these screens, you're easily able to swipe them over onto the next side. So if I do that, you now have all your phone here, and then the audio is now on the right side. You have more shortcuts down below, like your audio, phone, navigation system. You can have this full screen as well. And then you have different apps, settings, and features within the truck. So you're able to view all of those. Going under settings, you can see a few more things that are going to pop up. So this is overall a pretty nice screen. It looks good. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. We can also toggle that, and then you can even just swipe this with your finger. You have air vents on the left and right side, and then down below we have some physical controls for volume, all of your track and tuning, fan speed on the left side, all of your different zones, temperature on the right. You can put some coins in here, and then on the right side we have our 12-volt outlet, and then we also have 2 USB ports. So nice to see all of that. There's storage down below with more plugs, and then more storage all throughout the center. Good slot for your phone, food, and then even a storage cubby right there. Some nice vinyl material for the armrest. Opening that up, we have even more storage in here. This is removable, and you have even more. So no shortage of storage in a truck like this. This is lockable as well. And then over here, we have a good amount of space. One last look at the interior. Pretty basic in here. However, I do like all the screens and storage, and the stitching is a pretty cool touch. More simple for the headliner, finished in black. We do have a sunglass holder up here as well, dome lights, and then your mirror. Moving on to the rear seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, door panel finished off just like we saw up in front. You have some white stitching on the armrest, that same material, and then a small cup holder. You have all the same stitching and materials back here for these seats. They have a pretty cool look to them as well. And then if you grab the base of them, these are gonna lock upwards, and you have so much space. This is a super practical truck. There's also gonna be amenities like storage and cup holders. You have your air vents. You can pop that open for a 12-volt USB down below, storage on both of these front seats. Then just pulling this back down, you can take the headrest, of course, they'll slide upwards and downwards, and then we have a fixed rear window. So sitting in the back seat of the F-150, the Super Crew is definitely a nice way to go. At 5'11", I mean, you have so much space here. I have many inches above my head for headroom. With the driver's seat at my height, I have like 8 or 9 inches of knee room and foot room. This honestly is super roomy. There's no center armrest, which is kind of a downfall. However, given you have the air vents and all the cup holder storage, the lights up on top, even hooks, I mean, honestly, not a bad work truck, especially. Good for the family too, of course, but huge windows. The seats are at a good angle. There's good padding in here. Honestly, I could see sitting back here for quite a long time. So pretty roomy truck. Moving on to the bed space, you can just manually grab the handle and gently lower it down. This one just has a painted bed in here. Of course, you could do a nice spray in. For the STX, we have some storage on each side. So if we open these up, you got a nice little cubby. It does go downwards just a little bit, which is a nice touch to see. And then there are a few hooks in each of the corners. On the tailgate as well, there's these little spots right here where you can hook C-clamps. So maybe you could use this for your work truck. You could easily use a clamp, maybe use a 2x4 or something to make the tailgate of this truck a work vehicle. From here, it doesn't really weigh all too much. We can easily close it up. So setting off now in the STX, getting up to some speed. Normal drive mode, this thing's actually really peppy. You know, not everyone may like the 2.7 EcoBoost. Obviously, this is kind of a baby engine. This is actually pretty darn quick to drive. It doesn't feel at all like it's stressing. And I do say, when you go into sport mode, this actually drives a lot more like peppy. It feels a lot lighter on its toes. Give it some gas, it pulls pretty good. When you go into the manual shift mode as well, it's decently responsive for, you know, if you do need to take control, especially if you're towing or something, you need a little bit more control of the transmission. That is a nice design. So we'll go into eco mode. So overall, this is a pretty nice truck to drive. You know, you feel nice and high up. It certainly is a full-size truck. It's not a Ranger, so you can definitely notice the sizing to it. The hood is pretty wide, however, it seems to dip downwards to where you really feel almost like you're in like a box van or something, to where the hood dips down and you just see straight ahead. So you have a really good view out the front. The only complaint with the side view mirrors is they actually feel pretty small. This is a good sized truck, but when you look in the mirrors on the side, they just seem like they are just so tiny. I wouldn't mind them being a little bigger. Same with that mirror, they're actually all really small. Great visibility over your right and left shoulders like any pickup truck is gonna be. Just wouldn't mind bigger mirrors. You have huge windows. I mean, these things are massive, so much light in here. I mean, obviously you can definitely see around really well. The steering is pretty light and easy. It drives pretty normal. I mean, it doesn't drive like an abrupt, rough truck or anything like that. The suspension absorbs the bumps really well. I mean, it's a smooth place to be. The 10-speed transmission also seems to do a great job. It's not abrupt, hitting bumps, you know, you're not like breaking your back or anything. So I feel like it's a nice riding vehicle to where, honestly, for a daily driver or something like that, whether it's gonna be a family daily or more of a work truck for you, honestly, I feel like you can just drive it and you're not gonna get tired or fatigued being behind the wheel. It's just really easy to maneuver. It's definitely big, so 3-point turns, things like that, you know, it's gonna take a little bit. The turning circle, let's do that real quick. You have to turn the steering wheel several times. Not too bad, you know, not bad for a full-size truck and everything. I will say though, the brakes are really touchy. I don't know if that's just being brand new or not, but you hit the brakes and there's a lot of brake dive. So you're hitting the brakes a lot, you might start getting a little seasick with the movement of this truck. But giving some gas. All I hear is my camera stuff in there sliding all over the place. But it's peppy. This is not a bad engine to be in. And then the overall interior, you know, again, for being more of a basic truck, obviously 50-something grand is not a cheap amount of money, and you are getting a plastic basic interior. I will say these screens are my favorite part. I've always been a fan of how Ford did it. It just looks good, it's easy to use. There is some lag on the screens, like when you do the drive mode, sometimes it takes a little bit to do its thing, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. And then the screen in the center, sometimes there's a lag when you hit things. So I like the way it looks and everything, just wouldn't mind if the lag could go away. That's probably my only complaint. All right, so my perspective, honest thoughts with the F-150 STX. I don't know if I've ever driven this engine before. I am pleasantly surprised with it being a nice motor. Obviously, you can still get a 5-liter V8 in the F-150, and of course, you can still get a supercharged V8 in the Raptor R. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost is kind of your typical engine, probably the most common one. This one isn't quite as common, but honestly, I'm not hating it. It seems peppy enough for what it is, and with the transmission, it utilizes the power well to where you're not struggling. We are right up to 50 without even thinking, barely hitting 4,000 RPM. So you're not gonna hate this motor. Obviously, I know some people are gonna hate it because they only like V8s. But no, this is a pretty nice setup. Price point and what you're getting for the money, 50 grand these days doesn't go as far as it used to. The economy obviously has drastically changed in 4 years. Is what it is, unfortunately. However, for 50 grand, you're getting a full-size truck. And when you look at it, I mean, the Tacoma, a Ranger, the Colorado, things like that, those are about 50 grand too if you get a loaded up truck. So a smaller size truck is the same price point as a full size. So to be able to get an F-150 that is nicely equipped for this price doesn't seem all too crazy when your typical, you know, higher trim level is like $70,000. So this seems like a pretty decent bang for the buck, as long as you're not really too interested in basically the leather seating and a few extra amenities. So you don't have heated seats, ventilated seats. You even have just a rubber steering wheel. So it's basic in here, but it doesn't feel that basic. I think the screens go a long way to make this feel nice. My only true complaints with it would just be bigger mirrors, which I think is available. So you can get tow mirrors, of course, or something different, maybe even like Super Duty mirrors. So I would want bigger side mirrors just because these look a little dinky and the rear view is also small. But it rides really well. It doesn't feel like they sacrifice the truck's integrity itself. It feels like a solid built Ford truck tough. It feels nice to drive. It feels like this is something you could use for the day-to-day, the long haul, use it as your workhorse, and I feel like it's gonna give you everything you want out of it. The STX package, a little bit more sporty with the stitching, the wheels, the grille, things like that. So it gives it a cool look. It's not really that much of a package on top of the basic truck. This doesn't really have any crazy options on it to get it to where the price is. So it's a pretty standard trim level with what it has to offer. And I think nowadays, obviously, a lot more vehicles are loaded up, 70 grand to 100 grand even for a Super Duty. But there's a lot of people who don't really care about the extra bells and whistles. They don't really care about the stitching, the leather, all the crazy fancy things all over the place. This is kind of that truck for you. You know, it's not the most expensive thing out there. It doesn't really break the bank. And yet you're getting a good truck at the end of the day that has the power, has the capability, has the room, and overall rides like a nicely built truck. So great option for sure if you're looking for that not bells and whistles full-size truck. This is definitely something to take a look at. And this engine combination, even the seats, well, they're just cloth and everything, you know, you can get in a comfortable position and just rack up some miles, and you're gonna be pretty comfortable in this. So that is it then for the STX, the new 2024 F-150. Big shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this truck for today's video. Take a look at their website linked down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.